My name is Gary Brado, and I'm a documentary filmmaker and an entrepreneur. The economy is in less than perfect shape, and when the jobs go away, there's nothing left to do but get up and get creative. And there are people all over America doing just that. It's estimated that up to 85% of new businesses fail. So I'm going coast to coast to hear the personal stories of the people who beat the odds and started a successful business from the ground up. This is Startup.
The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. In Walsh College's business launch entrepreneurial community, consultants provide advice to aspiring business starters. More information available online.
The Chevrolet Volt, an everyday electric car with gas for longer trips. The nature of things to come. Chevrolet, find new roads.
American Express is proud to support startup and the millions of small businesses that put in the hard work to be open for business in neighborhoods across the country.
I'm on Euclid Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio, and we're gonna go talk to Mike and Brian, who created eFuneral. Now, when a close relative of Mike's had passed away, he quickly realized that there were very few resources available online to help plan a funeral. So let's go find out how these guys were able to solve a problem and create a viable business. The funeral business is a $15 billion a year industry in America, and the average burial service costs $8,500. Unfortunately, the untimely departure of a loved one can lead many family members into rushing into funeral arrangements, causing them to make expensive decisions from a lack of industry knowledge. After the untimely death of a family member, Mike and Brian found the absence of a consolidated online resource to make funeral arrangements. So, they dedicated their career to creating the go-to source for helping people plan a funeral from A to Z. Just so I can really understand the business, I'm the funeral home. Talk to me like you're approaching me about the business. What happens?
Yeah, so in the very beginning, the way that it worked is we would sign up funeral homes to be in our network, and it was free for a funeral home to be in our network.
Okay.
But when a family submitted an inquiry, which consisted of them letting us know what they were looking for in a funeral service. So I want a burial that's going to take place within a week or so, and I'm interested in a memorial service as well. So once they would let us know, they're submitting that inquiry to us, funeral homes that were in our network responded with quotes. And basically we get paid when the service actually takes place. Our model today is completely different from what it was when we first launched. Now, we're more of a comprehensive resource that families can use. All that information that they were waiting for, to get quotes from, now they can access all of that instantly. And if they connect with one of our partners, then those companies pay us a fee when we connect a family to them.
Who came to who with this idea?
The next piece of the story was really when my cousin died. We had to figure out, what do you do next? And I remember my dad turning to me to say, hey, you're the tech guy in the family. Is there anything online that can help us? What I found though quickly was that there wasn't good information that can help you make a decision about planning a funeral service.
More than 85% of funeral homes are still owned by families or independent firms. But tell me about your experience at the incubator and explain what that is for people that don't understand, because they do exist in a lot of major cities now.
Yeah.
We have one in Detroit. We just went to a really interesting one in DC. Yeah. So a lot of communities do have them. They're accessible now.
Right.
Explain to us what that is and what your experience was.
Yeah, so an accelerator in general, they'll usually give you some amount of money. So in our case, they gave us $20,000.
What do they want for that though?
Well, and this was unique. In our case, it was a grant. So they didn't take any equity in our company. And
that is unique.
Yes,
yeah.
And it's a good thing.
It's a majority.
That's right,
I think.
Or at least a good percentage.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to do that. But the big thing that they give you, aside from the money, is the mentorship. So we got access to all types of technology entrepreneurs in Ohio that have been there before. Really, it gave us an opportunity to network with people that we wouldn't have had access to otherwise.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the networking and the mentorship piece was really way worth more than the money.
How did you acquire, funding? How did you get those investors, number one, to sit down with you? How did you get them to believe in what you had and then actually write a check?
Find investors that you want to meet with. Treat them as mentors, right? We already had a couple mentors in our lives that ultimately became investors, but there wasn't an ulterior motive for us. We valued their advice as mentors.
The other thing I think is humility too. You have to be, some of that comes with being early in your career, being humble enough to realize that you don't know everything.
Right.
There's a lot of people that have been there, done that. You need to approach them because that knowledge is invaluable. You just can't get it anywhere else.
We thought we knew a lot going into it, and man, just even on the industry side, we've learned so much. You know, obviously we don't have funeral backgrounds or death care backgrounds, so we've learned a ton.
We're at a stage as a company where we want to prove ourselves out as a business. You know, we've proven that this can be a useful service. We've proven that families are willing to use an online tool to connect with funeral planners, but we want to go obviously beyond that. And really the next 6 to 12 months are critical for us to be able to prove that out so we can show investors this isn't just a nice, useful service, this is a scalable business.
On average, there are 2.4 million funerals in the United States every year. The biggest thing is, how am I going to be found?
Right.
You're one of billions, that are out there. So what are some of the tips that you can give to people that need to be found?
Most of the marketing that we've done has actually been offline. So even though we're an online company, the relationships that we have with, now it's 90 different hospitals, hospice facilities, and nursing homes, that's been helpful because families, when they're at that end of life, point in time for their loved one, they're turning to their hospice social worker, for instance.
Of course.
For a number of different things. But also, surprisingly to us, it includes, where do we have a funeral now? And that social worker usually, and they're usually not allowed to recommend a specific funeral home, but they could recommend a service like ours where we're comprehensive.
How long have you known Mike and Brian, and what has your experience been with eFuneral?
I think as soon as they came onto the market, people started talking about them because there's just been a void of this kind of thing that's available. Families generally, historically, have had to go out and do this very quick, weird shopping thing. So as soon as this came up, especially people in hospice, I think, went, oh, this is such a relief. I can use this with families I work with. And this gives families a chance to actually sit down together and have a conversation about what would really matter to me when I'm dying and when I have died. How do I want to be remembered? What can we reasonably afford that celebrates and honors our loved one's life?
What advice do you have for somebody much like yourselves that has an idea, a concept for not only an online business, but just a business period?
I would say, keep it very simple. Build an MVP, it's called, or minimum viable product, which is really the most stripped down version of your product, and really put it in front of people before you spend all this time either hiring development people, or if you're a development person yourself, spending all this time developing. So it's basically, keep it very simple, see how the customers interact with it and use it, and then scale up from there.
Well, that's great advice, guys. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, and definitely inspiring. I'm super excited to see where this thing goes in the future.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Mike and Brian took all the right steps to bring this business to life, and it looks like eFuneral is going to continue to be a valuable resource for people in their greatest time of need. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for eFuneral. Visit our website at startup-usa.com and like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. What do you call organic food? What did they call organic food in 1950?
No idea.
Food.
Exactly. Exactly.
American Express is proud to support startup and the millions of small businesses that put in the hard work to be open for business in neighborhoods across the country.
The Chevrolet Volt, an everyday electric car with gas for longer trips. The nature of things to come. Chevrolet, find new roads.
The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. In Walsh College's business launch entrepreneurial community, consultants provide advice to aspiring business starters. More information available online.